My family only calls when they need me, no is my final answer. Welcome to /regrets, like and subscribe for more stories, enjoy. I don't even know where to start. Writing this feels like I'm ripping open wounds I've been covering for years, but maybe this is the only way I'll finally breathe. I'm a 29F, the youngest of 3 kids, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the unwanted one. The extra. The mistake. No one ever said it out loud, but every single thing in my childhood screamed it. My brother was the golden boy, praised for every tiny thing he did, even when he failed, it was brushed off with "at least he tried." My sister was the beautiful princess, spoiled, protected, treated like glass. And me? I was the housemaid, the scapegoat, the one who did chores and got blamed when anything went wrong. For years I thought this was normal. That maybe every family had a kid who just didn't matter as much. But when I graduated high school with honors and my parents didn't even bother showing up, claiming they were busy with work, while throwing a huge party for my brother just for passing his driver's test, that's when the bitterness started growing like poison inside me. College was worse. My brother had his private university paid in full. My sister was given the freedom to drop out and find herself in Europe, with my parents funding every step of her trip. Me? I worked 2 jobs, scraped pennies, begged for scholarships. When I asked why they wouldn't help, my mom said, "You're independent. You'll be fine." As if that was an excuse to abandon me. I still remember coming home after a double shift, falling asleep on the bus, and thinking, if I don't keep pushing, no one will. After graduation, I got a decent job. Not glamorous, but stable. I thought maybe this time they'd be proud. Instead, every conversation with them turned into demands. Once, they asked me to co-sign a loan for my brother because he was struggling. I said no. The guilt trip was unbelievable, my mom cried, my dad yelled, my sister called me selfish. I hung up shaking, crying, but also proud I didn't give in. Still, it hurt. Because when I got promoted at work or bought my first car, I'd tell them, hoping for at least a good job. Instead, I'd hear, "Must be nice wasting money on a car when your brother is drowning in debt." It became clear to me, I wasn't their daughter. I was their backup plan. Their punching bag. Their ATM. I lost count of how many nights I cried myself to sleep after hanging up the phone with them, feeling stupid for still hoping they'd see me. But nothing hurt like my sister's wedding. My parents spent thousands making it perfect, the entire family involved, everyone glowing with pride. And me? I wasn't even a bridesmaid. Just a guest at my own sister's wedding. During the reception, someone spilled wine on my dress. I rushed to the bathroom to clean it, came back, and found my seat had been given away. No one cared. I stood awkwardly at the side of the room until dessert was served, humiliated, invisible, like a ghost crashing someone else's party. That night, I cried harder than I had in years, not over the seat, not over the dress, but because I realized I could disappear from their lives completely and nothing would change. After that, I stopped calling. I wanted to see if they'd notice. It took 6 months for my mom to reach out, and when she finally did, her first words weren't "I miss you" or "How are you?" They were, "Can you help your brother move?" I laughed bitterly and hung up. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I started journaling everything, every slight, every cruel joke disguised as teasing, every time they minimized me. I needed to see it all laid out to believe I wasn't crazy, because my entire life I'd been gaslit into thinking I was the problem. The truth is, I could drop dead tomorrow and they'd only notice when they needed something. And yet, a part of me still craves their love. I still dream of my mom hugging me and saying she's proud. I still wish my dad would see me as his daughter instead of a tool. That craving disgusts me, but it's there. Last Christmas was the final straw. I didn't go home. I spent it with friends who actually cared. And guess what? My phone barely buzzed. No one asked where I was. No one checked in. My sister posted dozens of pictures of their perfect family holiday, and my absence wasn't even acknowledged. It was like I never existed. I'm done. I'm done begging for scraps of love from people who never wanted me in the first place. I built my own little family with friends who celebrate me, who don't make me feel like an unwanted mistake. I don't know if I'll ever go fully no contact. Some days I want to, other days guilt drags me back, but I know I'm finished chasing after people who only see me when I'm useful. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, I decided to finally confront them. I knew it wouldn't change them, but I wanted to say the words out loud. I drove to my parents' house unannounced. When I walked in, my mom looked surprised, not happy, not relieved, just startled, like I was an inconvenience. My dad barely looked up from the TV. My sister was bragging about how her husband had just bought her a new car. My brother was sulking in the corner. I told them everything. How I grew up knowing I was the unwanted one, how they abandoned me at every milestone, how I was invisible at my sister's wedding, how they only called when they needed something. My voice cracked, my hands shook, but I kept going. At first, they laughed. My mom said I was being dramatic. My sister rolled her eyes. My dad said, "You always were too sensitive." That's when I snapped. I told them I was done. That they no longer had access to me, to my time, to my money, to my life. I told my brother he'd never see a dime from me. I told my sister I hoped her perfect little fairy tale cracked one day so she could understand what being invisible felt like. And I told my parents they could keep their golden children, because I was no longer their scapegoat. Then I walked out. My mom called the next day, crying, saying I was tearing the family apart. I didn't answer. My dad texted me that I was ungrateful. Blocked. My sister tried to smear me online. I didn't respond. For the first time, I chose silence instead of begging. And it was freeing. 3 years. That's how long it had been since I slammed that door in their faces and walked away. 3 years of silence, therapy, holidays spent with friends who feel more like family than blood ever did. 3 years of finally learning how to exist without being someone's punching bag. For the first time, I had peace. Or at least I thought I did. Because people like my family never really let go. They just circle like vultures, waiting for the moment they think you're useful again. It happened on an ordinary Saturday morning. I was cleaning my kitchen, music playing, when I heard the knock. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door and froze. There was my mother, standing on my doormat, holding a pie like this was some sitcom reunion. For a second, my brain couldn't process it, like my worst nightmare had climbed out of the past and planted itself right there in front of me. She looked older, smaller somehow, her hair thinner. Her eyes welled up instantly, and before I could stop her, she lunged forward and hugged me. My body went rigid. This was the hug I'd craved my whole childhood, but now it felt foreign, wrong, manipulative. "I've missed you so much," she whispered. I wanted to believe her. God, a part of me still wanted to believe her. But then she started talking. And it became clear, she wasn't there for me. She launched into a story about my dad's health, how he'd been in and out of the hospital, how things were so hard at home. My brother, she said, had gotten into a bit of trouble again. Translation, debt. My sister's husband had lost his job, and suddenly their perfect life wasn't perfect anymore. And then came the kicker, her eyes lit up in this rehearsed mix of desperation and hope. "You've always been the strong one. We need you now. We need the family to come together." And just like that, the hug, the tears, the pie, it all made sense. This wasn't an apology. This wasn't love. This was recruitment. They wanted me back, not as a daughter, not as someone they cared about, but as a resource. I stared at her, and I swear I saw flashes of every moment from my childhood, me standing alone at my sister's wedding, me begging for help with tuition while my brother's college was paid for, me getting ignored when I was sick as a kid because my sister had a more important recital. All those moments came rushing back like a tidal wave, and the anger burned so hot I felt my hands shake. I asked her one question. "Where were you when I needed you?" She froze. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She couldn't answer, because we both knew the truth. They hadn't been there. Not once. So I told her. I told her I wasn't her daughter anymore, not in the way she thought. That the little girl who used to beg for her mother's approval, who used to cry herself to sleep wishing her dad would notice her, that girl was gone. Dead. Buried under years of neglect and disappointment. "You had your chance," I said. "You raised your golden children. Let them take care of you now." That's when her tears stopped like someone had flipped a switch. Her face hardened, her voice turned sharp. "You're cruel," she spat. "Family is supposed to help each other." I laughed. Actually laughed. A hollow, bitter sound that came from a place so deep inside me it surprised even me. "Family? You just shared a house with me. That's not the same thing." Then I shut the door in her face. I stood there for a long time, forehead pressed against the wood, shaking. Not because I doubted myself, but because of how much strength it took to finally say it. For once, I didn't let her rewrite the narrative. For once, I didn't let her guilt me back into submission. Since then, the fallout has been relentless. My phone won't stop buzzing. My brother texted me walls of insults, calling me selfish, saying I owed him because family helps family. My sister started posting cryptic Facebook quotes about toxic people who abandon their loved ones. My dad left me a voicemail, his voice gravelly and weak, saying I'd regret this when he's gone. And maybe the old me would have folded. Maybe I would have cried myself to sleep and wondered if I was the villain. But not this time. This time, I blocked their numbers. I muted their emails. And I sat down with a cup of coffee, staring out my window, realizing something that nearly brought me to tears, not from sadness, but from relief. I don't feel guilt. I feel peace. Because here's the truth they'll never admit, I was never their family. I was their scapegoat, their safety net, their afterthought. They only see me now because they need me. And the most liberating thing I've ever done is realize that I don't have to let them. I chose myself. Finally. And if that makes me the villain in their story, so be it. I've been the villain in their eyes my whole life anyway. The difference is, now I'm okay with it. So what you think? How would you have handled it? Remember to like and subscribe for more.